That's Vanessa and Simon. They will show you how to assemble the BioHort pergola using the 3x3 size as an example. This video does not replace the official assembly instructions. In case of doubt, please follow the instructions. Read the safety instructions carefully and check all packages for completeness and accuracy using the parts overview. For the basic assembly, in addition to appropriate protective gear, you will need the following materials: a utility knife, a long spirit level, a measuring tape or folding ruler, a hammer or rubber mallet, a cordless screwdriver, with Torx bits 15, 25, 30 and 40, hex keys in sizes 2.5, 3, 4, 5 and 6, a 10mm open-end wrench, and a hammer drill with a 10mm concrete bit. Additionally, we recommend 2 step ladders and sawhorses for more comfortable working. In the first step, you will need the small parts package, as well as the upright package labeled number 1. After carefully unpacking, lay out all 4 uprights in an orderly manner. The top side of the upright serves as a point of orientation. Use the 6.3 x 45mm screws from the small parts package and a Torx 40 bit to attach the base plates to the uprights. The base plates extend beyond the closed outer sides of the uprights and are flush on the inner sides. Repeat this step for all uprights and base plates. Tighten the screws directly. If you plan to equip your pergola now or later with LED lighting or an electric drive, it is recommended to already run a cable through one of the uprights. Since Vanessa and Simon will install this accessory later, they are laying the cable from the control set. Alternatively, a standard outdoor extension cable can be used. Place the upright directly at the desired location. Since unsecured uprights can fall over, they should definitely be stored lying down temporarily. Keep in mind that there are A and B uprights, and this determines the position of the rainwater drainage. Now prepare the beams. These are located in the beam packages numbered 2 and 3. Leave the water drain and the louver connection rail for the louvers in the package for now. Carefully tap the plastic louver holders into the 2 cross beams using a hammer. At the spot where the hand crank for the louvers is intended, do not install a louver holder, as the louver will be connected to the crank there. If you are using an electric drive instead, install a louver holder at this position as well. Now attach a pair of T-slot nuts from the small parts package to both ends of the smooth outer sides of all 4 beams. Use M8 by 16mm hex socket screws with matching washers and lock washers for this. Initially, leave a gap of 5 to 7mm for each T-slot nut. This will make it easier to assemble and insert the uprights later. Now attach the black end caps and spacers from the small parts package. For the spacers, use 3.9 by 9.5mm screws with a Torx 15 bit. Tighten these screws directly. On the underside of the beam, you can cover the area where no drive is installed with an end cap. For the side with the hand crank, use the guide bushing instead. If an electric drive is being installed, use an end cap here as well instead of the guide bushing. If you are installing an electric drive, skip these steps for the hand crank drive. The installation of the control set and the electric drive will be shown later in the video, but it can already be carried out now. Insert the drive block for the hand crank and fasten it with M8x 10mm screws using a 5mm hex key. From below, slide the metal ring that transmits the movement of the hand crank onto the protruding pin of the drive block. Secure it with a cotter pin. Listen for the clicking sound that confirms the cotter pin is properly seated. Now install the cover plates for the 2 possible drive positions at working height. You will find these in the small parts package. Use the 3.9 x 9.5 mm screws with a Torx 15-bit for this. If you plan to install LED lighting or an electric drive, leave the cover plates off for now. Now that all uprights and beams are prepared, you can begin the assembly. Vanessa and Simon are assembling the pergola here in a protected studio environment on a wooden deck. Attention! A wooden deck is not a permitted foundation for outdoor use. Refer to the assembly instructions or visit our website www.biohort.com for information on suitable foundations. When positioning the uprights, pay attention to safety equipment, as heavy parts are being moved above head height. Insert the beams from above between 2 uprights. It is helpful to roughly measure the distance between the uprights beforehand. A third person on site can hold and secure the uprights that have not yet been fastened. Once 3 uprights are connected with 2 beams, the risk of tipping over is low. Keep in mind that no sunscreen or louvered side wall can be installed on the side of the crossbeam with manual drive. Before screwing and drilling the base frame, carefully align the pergola. Measure the diagonals and precisely adjust the uprights and beams to ensure exact alignment. Also ensure the uprights are parallel and that there is a 90-degree angle between the uprights and the crossbeam. If your foundation has a slight slope, you can compensate for it using the supplied plastic plates. These consist of 4 brackets included in the small parts package. Each upright may be adjusted by a maximum of 1.5 cm. Once everything is aligned, tighten the T-slot nuts using a 6 mm hex key. With proper installation on a suitable foundation, you can now drill using a 10 mm drill bit. These holes are for anchoring the uprights. Then drive the steel anchors with the inserted screws into the drilled holes and secure the uprights. Then cover the screws with the appropriate caps. Now it's time to use the previously set-aside gutters from the beam package. To position them correctly, refer to the assembly instructions. Attach both gutters using 4.8 x 19 mm screws and a Torx 25-bit. Each gutter requires 10 screws. Now prepare the louvers. The number varies depending on the size of the pergola. For Vanessa and Simon's 3x3 pergola, 15 louvers are needed, which can be found in the packages labeled number 4. In the small parts package, you will find end caps for the louvers, both with and without coupling devices. The shape of the caps determines which side they are mounted on, making incorrect installation impossible. To screw on each end cap, you will need 4 M4 by 10 mm screws and a 2.5 mm hex key. Also attach the rubber buffers to the underside of the louvers. The shape of the caps determines which side they are mounted on, making incorrect installation impossible. One louver is directly connected to the drive and is fitted with a special end cap for this purpose. In the case of manual operation, this cap features a square shaft that is inserted into the drive block. For electric operation, the pin has 2 flat sides. This version is included in the corresponding accessory package along with the electric drive. Now begin attaching the louvers. Press them from above into the louver bearings on both sides. This requires some force. Repeat this process for all louvers. The drive louver is mounted differently from the other louvers. First, the pin is inserted into the drive mechanism. Then the opposite side is pressed into the louver bearing from above as usual. Install the louver connection rail from the carrier package. Start the installation with the drive louver and the last louver on the opposite side. Only after these two louvers are connected to the louver guide, you can mount all the remaining louvers in the same way. Insert the spacers from the small parts package between the connection rail and the coupling device of the individual louver. Then fasten the M6X 20mm screws using a 4mm hex key and tighten them with a 10mm open-end wrench. Do not over-tighten the screws, otherwise the spacers could be crushed and the rail could become jammed. Additionally, depending on how tightly these screws are fastened, the desired crank force can be adjusted. The tighter the screws are fastened, the harder it is to turn the crank. In the final step, mount the cover caps on all uprights. Each cover cap is secured with 3 screws. Use the 6.3x 19mm screws and a Torx 30-bit for this. The basic assembly is now complete. Vanessa and Simon will now continue the assembly with the louvered sidewall. For the louvered sidewall, they will also need a metal drill bit with a 3.5mm diameter. Alternatively, a 3.7mm bit can also be used. First, take out the frame parts for the louvers. These are located in package number 1, the sidewall louver packages. Insert the 2 rails into the bottom profile using a twisting motion. This differs from the top profile of the frame by its hole pattern. Now screw the rails in from the back using the M5 by 25mm screws and a 3mm hex key. You can now attach the connecting brackets at both ends as well as the plastic louver holders to both the top and bottom profiles of the frame. For the brackets, use the M5 by 12mm screws and a 3mm hex key. You will need a total of 8 screws. The number of louver holders depends on the size of the pergola. For the 3-meter version, 10 holders are required. At first, only tighten the screws by hand. Now assemble the frame and screw it together. Pay attention to the web width on the side parts. The wider side is positioned once on the inside and once on the outside of the frame. For screwing from the inside, use the M5 by 12mm screws and a 3mm hex key. Place something underneath the corners to protect the material from scratches. Now insert the assembled frame into the pergola. Measure the distance between the outer edge of the pergola upright and the frame of the louver side wall precisely to 21mm. Once the frame is correctly positioned, drill the holes on the top side of the frame. Use the 4.8x 45mm screws for fastening. For the 3-meter side wall, you will need 6 screws for the top side. Now tighten the screws that connect the frame parts while pressing the frame toward the already fastened top section of the frame. Align the frame carefully. Once the alignment is correct, pre-drill the side walls and screw them in place. You will need a total of 12 screws for this. Finally, secure the frame at the bottom. To do this, first drill the holes using a 10mm drill bit and insert the screw anchors. Then screw the frame in place. Now prepare the louvers. These are located in accessory package number 2. First, attach the 8 rubber buffers to the front and back of each louver. Now hang the prepared louvers into the frame one by one. Make sure that the tab for connecting the louvers always faces upward. Insert each louver into the frame first at the top, then at the bottom. The number varies depending on the size of the pergola. For the 3-meter side wall, 10 louvers are provided. To prevent vertical movement and the louvers from coming loose, attach the safety retainers to the top of each louver. Finally, install the louver connection rail from package 2. Use the M6 by 16mm screws and the plastic spacers between the louver guide and the tab of the individual louvers. Repeat this step for all louvers. If the louvers are too tight or too loose, adjust the screws evenly or loosen them accordingly. Do not over-tighten the screws, otherwise the spacers could be crushed and the rail could become jammed. Next, the sunscreen will be installed. All components for the sunscreen are contained in a single package. In the first step, attach the two side elements to the roller screen box. Position the entire frame on the desired side of the pergola along the outer edge of the pergola uprights. Then attach the end caps on both sides using the screws included in the package. To keep the frame stable during setup and drilling, it is recommended to press it upward with a wedge. Measure the distance again to 21mm and pre-drill the holes on the side using a 3mm bit. Next, use 8 4.2 by 32mm screws and a cordless screwdriver to fasten the frame of the sunscreen. Work from top to bottom and tighten all screws immediately. Now insert the guide rail for the sunscreen on both sides. Pull the blind all the way down while moving backward. Keep the blind under tension and slowly slide the rails upward. As the final step, install the cover on the inside. Use the 3.9x 25mm screws and a cordless screwdriver for this. Tighten all 8 screws immediately. Make sure to always pull the screen down in the center. Now Vanessa and Simon are converting the pergola to electric drive. The control set and the electric drive are packed in 2 separate packages. As an additional tool, they need a clamp. During the conversion, the louvers should be secured with a block approximately 6 cm high to prevent the risk of pinching. Do not use a metal block to avoid damaging the coated surfaces. If the manual drive was previously installed, the drive louver and the drive must first be removed. To do this, loosen the connection to the louver connection rail using a 10mm open-end wrench and a 4mm hex key. On the opposite side, the louver can be released from the louver holder by pressing down with a socket wrench or screwdriver. Open the drive's cover plates and loosen the screws securing the gearbox. Then remove the cotter pin and the metal ring to be able to take out the entire drive. Also replace the guide bushing on the underside of the beam with a cover cap. Now assemble the electric drive. Use the shorter bolt to connect the short rail to the drive, which later transfers the movement to the louvers. Secure this connection with the retaining ring. Use the longer bolt to connect the drive to the long frame rail. Again, use a retaining ring for this. And additionally the plastic spacer ring into which you insert the bolt between the 2 side walls of the rail. Temporarily secure the electric drive with adhesive tape to make it easier to insert into the pergola. Insert the electric drive into the pergola's beam and route the cable directly outward at the corner upright. If the corner cover is already installed, temporarily remove it. Scratches can occur during any installation. If, like Simon here, you end up with unwanted scratches on the coated metal, you can touch them up using the included touch-up pen from the small parts kit. Once the electric drive is inserted into the beam, tighten one of the upper screws. This will then act as a pivot point. Using a clamp, position the drive correctly to screw in the remaining M8 screws. Be sure to place a protective pad between the clamp and the beam to avoid damage. If you previously secured the drive with adhesive tape, remove it now. The electric drive is mounted from the outside on the top of the beam using two M8 by 10 mm screws with washers. Here as well, carefully install a louver bearing in the beam. Now insert the control box into the beam in such a way that the side with only one cable faces the pergola upright. There, connect the cable, ideally already laid inside the upright, to the control unit. When inserting it, also make sure to route the thin radio wire for the remote control along the hollow beam. This ensures that the signal transmission to the remote control remains uninterrupted. On the other side, connect the electric drive to the appropriately labeled connector. Make sure the plug is oriented correctly. This is marked with arrows. Now install the side cap of the drive louver. If a manual drive was previously used, the side cap with the square fitting on the drive louver must be removed and replaced with a new one. Then connect the louver to the drive. Insert the bolt through the rail and secure it with a washer and a cotter pin. On the opposite side, the louver locks into the louver bearing as usual. Then reconnect the louver to the connecting rail. If no LED lighting is to be installed, all cover plates can now be reinstalled. Then plug the power supply into the socket. To pair the remote control with the controller, press and hold the upper left button with the lamp symbol for at least 3 seconds within the first 10 seconds. If the pairing is unsuccessful, disconnect the power supply for at least 60 seconds and then restart the pairing process. Remove the block before operating the louvers for the first time. Vanessa and Simon are now continuing with the installation of the LED lighting. To do this, they need access again to the corner upright and the control box. If the cover plates have already been installed, they must be temporarily removed. The LED lighting consists of 2 flexible LED strips, which are delivered together in one package. Now guide one LED strip from the corner upright to the left into the designated channel. The second strip is guided in the opposite direction. Each strip thus covers 2 sides of the pergola. When laying them, the LED strips must be carefully guided behind a corner upright. At the opposite upright, both ends of the LED strips meet. After threading and positioning the LED strips, remove the protective film and firmly stick them into the designated channel. After successful installation, the plastic cover can be attached to the LED channel. Now connect the 2 LED strips to the control unit. If the control unit has not yet been installed, you can find the corresponding instructions in the section of the video about the electric drive. The appropriate connectors are marked with a symbol. Make sure to align the plugs correctly, as indicated by the arrows. Once the connection is established, you can reattach the cover plates of the corner upright and the drive unit. Use the top left button to switch on the light. Use the top right button to toggle between the louver drive and the LED lighting. Use the arrow buttons to dim the brightness to your preference. BioHort wishes you lots of enjoyment with your new pergola. If you have any further questions about the assembly, please feel free to contact our customer service.